Well, the wagon has anything to do with the way she comes off to where they're
doing the stand-up for the hour now, so
Yeah.
we'll do it later.
Well, let's hope we don't have to stand long.
I think just the agenda was
You recognize we didn't
agenda was
stand
just-
last night because we took
I
two
think
breaks.
it's
We didn't
No.
stand last night.
Two breaks.
poor guy not having.
I missed that.
True.
We can stand. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. Welcome to the December 13, 2018 meeting for the Shawnee County Board of Commissioners. My name is Kevin Cook. I serve as the chair. Joining me today is Commissioner Shelley Bueller. Good morning.
Good morning.
I think the countdown is down to 5 left.
After this meeting, yeah, that's crazy, right?
Commissioner Bob Archer, good morning.
Good morning.
We're all rested and relaxed after an evening with JADO, so Madam Clerk, if we could start off our first item.
First item is presentations, proclamation presentation of Shawnee County's United Way campaign check. Angela Lewis, Human Resources.
Good morning, Commissioners. Angela Lewis with Human Resources. I'd like to ask the United Way committee members to come up and join us at the podium, and also the representatives from United Way. This year we had a really great group of people get together and work with the United Way. We had Jennifer Sauer, who worked as our treasurer. We had Stephanie Coleman, Jolie Charles, Aaron Hicks, Eve Kendall, Bill Kroll, Sarah Grindall, Scott Garcia, Renee Aldridge, and Monica Mikowski, who worked with us on the United Way. We had bake sales, donut sales, baked potato bars, all kinds of wonderful events.
We like food.
To get us to where we are today. For the first time in many years, we had a United Way campaign ambassador who went out into the community and just did an excellent job. And we're so proud of Rachel Meyer, and we have some flowers for her. Aww. Thank you very much. And I'm excited that we're ahead of the game. We've already got next year, September, planned for United Way, and we have Eve Kendall, who's going to serve as our United Way ambassador next year.
Great.
So now for the really good stuff, we have a check presentation. This year we raised $7,778.53 for United Way that we'd like to present to Angel and AJ.
Very cool. We're going to cash it right after this. That's awesome.
Keep on going, right? Yeah. So, Commissioners, if you'd like to come up, you are the official givers of the check.
And don't try and grab it back, Bob.
Yeah.
Not from Angel.
Right. Thank you all so much. You too. Yeah. You too.
I want to take a moment and thank Angela for all of your work on the campaign, Rachel, everybody, the entire committee, and also our employees. I mean, this would not be possible but for the donations of the employees and for everything that United Way does in the community and the good that it does to serve our community. So just really take a moment. Thank you for everything that everyone has done. And also, Eve, thank you for stepping up next year and so getting us off to a good start in September. Commissioners, any other comments?
No, thanks, Angel, especially you, too, for reaching out to Shawnee County and reinvigorating and reinviting us to participate. And also, yes, thank you to all the volunteers and everybody who contributed. So, thanks.
Our next item.
Item 3, consent agenda.
There are 2 items on the consent agenda. Are there any questions?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item 4, new business A, County Clerk number 1, consider all voucher payments.
The vouchers are totaling $864,135.03. We do have under sales tax to Bypass Mobile LLC, $55,996.00. It's for 50% of the payment for a point of sale system for the Expo Center. And under special liability, there is $5,000 for demolition of a burned residence. So I have no questions. I'll move approval.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item A2, consider correction orders.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our third item.
Item A3, consider approval of resolution number 2018-71, authorizing a 2019 cereal malt beverage license to Dillon's Store number 37, located at 6829 Southwest 29th Street, and resolution number 2018-72, authorizing a 2019 cereal malt beverage license, including Sunday sales, to Great Life at Safari Golf, located at 7523 Southwest 21st Street. And Commissioners, these both have been reviewed by the counselor's office. There are no delinquent taxes. All the plate spots, the KBI, the township was notified, and they passed their health inspection. So we just request that they be able to sell their cereal malt beverages by the first of the year.
Any questions or comments?
I'll move to adopt the resolutions.
Second.
Motion to adopt by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item B, Bond Council number 1, consider resolution number 2018-73, authorizing the execution and delivery of supplements to the original bond trust indenture, base lease, and lease agreement for the 29 Fairlawn LLC project to permit 29 Fairlawn to assign certain separate tracts of the site to a special purpose entity owned, whole owned or in part by 29 Fairlawn, whose purpose is to finish the development of the project located on the site.
Morning, Bob Perry. I've tried to think on how to say this in a very short period of time, but I don't know if I can explain it in a very short period of time. At the end of last year, you passed County Resolution 2017-86, which authorized the issuance of taxable industrial revenue bonds of the county in an amount of approximately $75 million. The first tranche of bonds were issued in January to help start the financing of the improvements at 29th and Fairlawn on the northwest corner. Since then, the developers have decided that in order to get a better return on their investments, or a potential return, and to give them some flexibility on how to finish out the improvements on that site. It's a 15-acre site. They've replatted it in 5 lots. They're thinking that maybe to their benefit to have the ability to supplement the indenture under which the bonds were issued, as well as the base lease and the lease agreement, so that each particular tract of ground, whether it's a lot, a whole lot, or half a lot, might be developed by what they call a special purpose entity that's affiliated with the developers, and that would give them the ability, should they decide to sell that particular tract, they could assign the base lease and the lease and the bond off to the purchaser, or the different tenants will have different purposes on the tract. And it basically just gives them a series of options as they finish out the development. This is very common in the Johnson County, Wyandotte County area when they do commercial improvements on tracts of ground that will have different uses throughout the tract. The structure of, as far as supplementing indentures and whatnot, we've been doing that under the single-family mortgage revenue bond programs with Sedgwick County, Shawnee County since the 80s, where you'd have a first indenture authorizing bonds, and then a series of bonds thereafter are issued under supplemental indentures. The developers are purchasing the bonds, so this is a self-financed improvement. The area that the development is on is a TIF, a tax increment financing district by the city. They're going to recapture some of the incremental increase in taxes for some of the infrastructure improvements that are permitted in the TIF district. This is not subject to an ad valorem exemption. That's because it's in a TIF district. One of the economic purposes of why we issued the bonds, or they requested the bonds to be issued to begin with, is under the retail sales tax statutes. They could be exempt from the basically 10% sales tax on the materials and supplies.
So Bob, just helping break this down for me to understand. When we initially issued the industrial revenue bonds of up to $75 million, it was as one project with one entity. Now we're taking that and dividing it into 5 different parcels, and the entity may have an association with other individuals for those 5 different parcels.
Right. They may have, the way I've seen this in some of the other projects I've done is they may bring in, well, best example is Home Depot, when we did the Home Depot project. Bond was issued and was purchased by the developer, Seafried International, which was a Spanish company from my memory. And when the project was completed, they had located USAA, the financial services company in San Antonio, to become a 50% partner. So 50% of the bond was assigned to USAA, and USAA became a co-tenant under the lease. And then subsequent to that, those 2 entities sold that facility to a real estate investment trust, and the real estate investment trust assumed the bond under the indenture and assumed obligations under the lease. And that's not really any different than what they're proposing here, other than the fact that they haven't completed all of this different purposes on the site. And it's my understanding from talking with the guys at Pozzanelli, the council that I've been dealing with, is they will probably take a period of time in order to finish this. I think their counsel's here, isn't it? Jennifer Sork is general counsel. Is that right, Jennifer? It's going to be over a period of time.
Yep. Jennifer, if you want to come on, please. This is we're recording, and for our clerk, to make sure that we capture any comments.
Good morning, Jennifer Sork with Midwest Health General Counsel. The entities are just being parceled out, and so each of those entities are owned by the developer, but they'll be parceled out into different, basically, landlords with each of those buildings for both risk management and for other purposes, if there is any sale in the future or whatever that may be. So kind of see this as just cleaning it up to make sure it's clear that in the documents that that's both the 29 Fairlawn LLC and then any of those subsets that are the landlord entities.
So if we were to look at Gage Center, if we think of as one shopping center, but there are several owners of the Gage Center, and they all have different buildings and different ownerships.
Correct.
And so it would look really no different than that.
Correct.
We're not changing the amount of the industrial revenue bonds.
Correct.
And it doesn't change any liability to the county or risk to the county.
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions? Yeah. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Resolution.
There's been a motion to adopt the resolution by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0.
Great. Thank you all.
Our next item.
Item C, Health Department, number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C411-2018 with Dr. Vlad Dimitriou for professional medical and health care services for patients of the Health Department with active tuberculosis and/or tuberculosis infection for the period January 1, 2019 through December 31st, 2019, at a cost of $150 per hour, plus $250 per month for services to the communicable disease programs, and on as needed basis, and average of $3,650 per year with funding from the 2019 tax allocation.
Good morning, Commissioners. Carrie Delfs with the Health Department. This morning we're asking for approval to renew our contract with Dr. Dimitriou to serve as our TB consultant. He does provide our nursing staff in the TB program with medical supervision and orders for treating TB infection and disease. This past year, we've had 4 active cases where we've provided the medication to patients daily and watched them take it. We've also had 41 patients treated for TB infection. Dr. Dimitriou has also stepped in to serve as our health officer when Dr. Pizzino's been unavailable. So I would be happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions regarding this item?
Move to approve the contract.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you. Our next item.
Item C2, consider authorization and execution of contract C412-2018 with Gianfranco Pizzino, MD, MPH, to continue serving as health officer for the period January 1, 2019 through December 31st, 2019, at a cost of $53,976 annually, plus costs of licensing, malpractice insurance, and continuing education, with funding from the 2019 budget.
Good morning, Commissioners. Linda Oaks from the Health Department. We're requesting you to approve the continuing contract with Dr. Pizzino as our health officer. Dr. Pizzino has done a fantastic job for us. We are so fortunate to have someone not only with his medical knowledge and knowledge of communicable diseases, but also his knowledge of public health and what it means to really work in public health. So I'm very grateful that he's agreed to continue with us. I'm asking for a 2% increase. We've not given him an increase in several years, so I am requesting that this year, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
And this is within the budget of the health agency?
It is in our 2019 budget.
Any questions?
No, I'll move approval.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Our next item.
Item D, Information Technology. Number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C413-2018 with that company for the renewal of the annual licensing fee C195-2017 for several cloud-based software components at a cost of $6,000 with funding from the 2018 Information Technology budget.
Good morning, Commissioners. Frank McGee, Information Technologies. These are 3 integrated applications that we use to track our application development, share documents, share applications, identify bottlenecks, and those types of things.
Any questions regarding this request?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you. Our next item.
Item D2, consider approval of request to waive the county purchasing procedures and purchase 10 Cisco Catalyst switches from World Data in an amount of $48,350 with funding from the IT 2018 budget.
Morning, Commissioners. Mark Price, Information Technology. We had a vendor reach out to us last week with a special purchase. They had received 10 new of the Cisco switches in, and were offering them to us at the refurb pricing as opposed to the new pricing. They were where we were looking for some because we'd reach out to get some quotes, trying to do some budgeting. This was something we were hoping to do in 2019. With this special purchase, it actually will allow us to get a few more than we were thinking we'd get, and would ask that we be allowed to make the purchase.
Okay, so we are waiving the county's purchasing policy by not going out to bid, and that is due to it's a special pricing offer from this company.
It is a special pricing offer. Refurb pricing is sometimes hard to bid because you get a varied number. And actually reviewing what is out on the refurb market, these switches are in line with what the refurb market is. But again, these are brand new in box switches, never used at that price. So even as a refurb price, they are a good price.
Any other questions for Mark?
I see Betty's nodding, so I assume that our finance director has reviewed this process and is okay with it. So I'll move to approve the request.
Second.
And waive.
And
waive.
Yeah,
Yes.
Thank you.
So motion made by Commissioner Archer to approve the request and waive the purchasing policy, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you. Our next item.
Item E, Parks and Recreation. Number 1, consider approval of Home Rule Resolution Number HR 2018-3, amending the Shawnee County Code Section 4-81 and 4-82 regarding selling, serving, possessing, and consuming alcoholic liquor or cereal malt beverages on county property. First reading.
Good morning, Commissioners. Randy Luby, Park Services Director. Today before you is a request to amend the Shawnee County Code regarding the selling and serving of alcoholic beverages, along with the possession and consumption of alcoholic beverages on county property. First of all, the selling and serving of alcoholic beverages. Over the past several years, we've lost out on a lot of special events that request to sell alcohol at their event, wine tasting contests to all kinds of different events that we have. And I think it's time for us to look at this and change this resolution to attract those special events, which would lead to more partnerships and sponsorships down the road. It's not something that that we do automatically. It would take a contract, and inside that contract would make sure that they're following all the licensing requirements that they must have, and that contract would come back before you to approve for each one of those special events. As far as the possession and consumption of alcoholic beverages, let's see if I got one slide here. We already possess and consume alcoholic beverages in many of our locations. As you can see, all our shelter houses that we rent, the golf courses, campground, ski club. What we're asking today is to include our 4 adult sports complexes, Ruger, Shawnee North, Shawnee South, and Felker. Over the past several years, we've had a lot of patrons request this as something that they would see. More and more park and recreation agencies are going to this. This will open up an opportunity for us if we want to sell the alcohol and as a revenue source or find a vendor to do that. Also, it draws in national tournaments, and that would be basically, like I said before, with a special event. A lot of the national requirements to get these tournaments ask for a sale of alcohol at these locations. So this would permit us to do that. Again, it would be with a contract. And then the last thing basically is just allowing them to consume the alcohol at these special events on the property. I will be, I've been notified by a couple advisory board members that they were concerned that we didn't consult with them over this resolution. And they are true, we did not, but at our last meeting in November, it was brought up of alcohol at the softball complexes, and I took it from the direction that they were, from them, that they were wanting just a clear direction on the rules, whether alcohol is allowed in or it's not allowed in. And I believe this resolution does that. Also today here is Mike Bell with Visit Topeka in support of this resolution. He's been instrumental in making those contacts with national organizations and tournaments to come in. And I also want to take the time to introduce Sean Osborne and Susan Hensler. They sat on a committee. This isn't something we just brought up yesterday. We've been trying to organize this for some time. So I'd be glad to answer any questions you may have.
By our policy, this was the first reading, so I would not anticipate us taking action on it today, but rather that we would have it come back at a later date for the second reading. And it would be my proposal that we look at Thursday the 20th, given the number of items that are already scheduled for the 17th. And so looking at 20th, that would give the public a week to weigh in on this policy change and allow people to make arrangements to attend the commission meeting if they wanted to have those public comments made.
Perfect.
But at this time, are there members of the public wanting to speak for or against this policy?
Morning, Commissioners. My name is Mike Bell, the Vice President of Sales for Visit Topeka. As Randy had mentioned, we're in the business of attracting events to our city. One of the things that I'm working on currently is USA Softball. We're looking for a men's tournament. These are national tournaments in some of what I consider some of our underutilized facilities for adult sports, which are Ruger, and Shawnee North, and Felker to that extent. The last event for this USA Softball, it's a men's national event. They did 32 teams in Liberty, Missouri. And those, Liberty, Missouri did allow sales on site. They did There was a concessions of, $3,000, about $4,000. And then the Knights of Columbus came in and did sales for beer. So it was something that was allowed. They said they didn't really have any problems with it. It was something that was a great amenity to the tournament. So I just want to voice my opinion and say that I think it's a good deal. It brings these parks in line with the rest of the county assets. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments for or against this policy change? At this time, then, I would make a motion to defer any action on this until Thursday, the 20th.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. We'll take this up on the 20th for a second reading and possible action.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Our next item.
Item E2, consider approval to solicit qualifications quotes for the design and printing of the guide for the summer, fall, and winter 2019-2020 issues.
Morning, Mike McLaughlin, Shawnee County Parks and Recreation. This is, of course, the annual contract that we advertise for both design services and printing of the guide. The guide is printed 3 times a year. We'll feature Apple Festival on the fall cover, swimming, aquatic facilities on the summer cover. The one coming out has Tulip Time for the winter-spring issue. In the Shawnee County Master Plan research, it was shown that the guide is one of the top 3 ways people find out about Parks and Recreation. So we're asking for your approval to go out for bid.
I'll move approval.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Our next item.
Item E3, consider approval of request to award bid for the repairs of the Ward Mead Mansion porch to Mosier Construction at a cost of $31,363 from the Capital Maintenance 3R Fund, and authorization and execution of Contract C 414-2018 for same.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Bell, Recreation Program Supervisor, Old Prairie Town. A few months ago, we went out for bid to replace the south and east porch of the Ward Mead Mansion due to some recent damage that we had this past summer. So we would like to move forward with the low bid with Mike Mosier Construction for $31,363. I would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for John regarding this item? Commissioner Archer.
How much have we spent on maintenance items for Old Prairie Town this year?
I do not have a number. I know we have spent about, I think it was about $15,000 on the Sheldon study renovation. And then from what I recall, that is about it. We do have some money allocated for painting of the Everest Church and the Victor Schoolhouse, but that work has not been completed yet. So besides just the normal day-to-day maintenance, I think that was about it. We did have an irrigation project that fell in the garden, and that carried over from 17 to 2018.
The roof on Mingo? Yeah, I was thinking we had a roof that was replaced.
Yes, I think that was 2017. Those were 2017 projects. So.
I think it'd be a good idea to make a presentation and reintroduce Old Prairie Town to the community soon. We're spending money out there, and it's quite an asset to have in our system. I would appreciate it if you would get together and soon make a presentation so the community is reintroduced and reinvigorated about Old Prairie Town and its uses. So thank you. And
be more than happy to do that.
With that, I'll make a motion to approve the request.
Second.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you. Our next item.
Item F, corrections. Number 1, consider approval of request to use contingency funds for repair of damages to a prison cell in an amount of $3,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Cole, Shawnee County Department of Corrections. Before you is a request that we worked really closely with Betty Greiner on. But we did have a situation where an inmate did act out and did some significant damage to a cell. No one was hurt, no one's escaping or anything like that. But we did have an inmate that did some significant damage to a cell. And obviously, it is mission critical to be able to have the safety and security of the cell replaced. There was some damage along a wall and towards a window and things like that. Again, we did work very closely with Betty on this. This was something obviously we didn't plan for or expect, and that's why both Betty and I were looking at contingency funds.
Any questions regarding this item? Commissioner Archer.
If I may, Mr. Chair. And I asked you if the inmate's personal account could be charged for this, and you told me yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's two deals, and I think, and Jim probably can help as well, externally and internally. Externally, that we we are doing an investigation, but we did have the sheriff's office come over and evaluate and look at for possible charges, and they would go through that process, possibly for restitution and things like that. But we also have an internal process for a disciplinary committee that will review the situation. Inmates are still entitled to due process regarding that, and if they are found responsible for that, then yes, we can get the estimate on the damages, which we have, and we can charge the inmate for those damages, and which we have done in the past to others that have done some stuff. So,
thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions?
No. Move for approval of the request.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. All opposed. Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item F2, consider approval of request to use contingency funds for retrieval and removal of files from Iron Mountain, Inc. in an amount of $15,541.80.
Good morning again, Brian Cole, Shawnee County Department of Corrections. This is just, this is a request to use, again, that we work really closely with Betty Greiner on, with the closing out or submitting our request and going through the county counselor's office of discontinuing a contract with the current company on the storage of our files, that we are moving to another contract and be able to, so we can move our files over to another company's storage, that there was significant cost, something that we didn't plan, because this was something that was coming in after our budgets basically were in place. We do have a lot of files at the jail, and by statute and historical society, we have to maintain records on inmates for a great deal of time.
Betty Greiner, Director of Administrative Services. I just wanted to add that we did go out for bid for our file storage, and that new company, Underground Vault, they agreed to waive the cost, the setup costs of new files for a certain period of time. So that's why this is necessary to do this at this time and cannot be put off to later. If we put it off to later, we not only have to pay the retrieval fees, but also the setup fee on the other side.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No. Move to approve.
Second.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed. Passes 3-0.
Thank you. Thank you.
Our next item.
Item G, appraiser, number 1, consider approval of request to solicit bids for change detection services which uses artificial intelligence to compare 2 sets of aerial photography from 2 different time frames and reports the differences to identified improvements with an estimated cost not to exceed $12,000 or 1.15 per parcel, or 15 cents per parcel, with funding from the Land Records Fund.
Good morning, Steve Bauman, County Appraiser. And I am requesting your approval to solicit bids for change detection services. And so what that is it's a program that compares 2 sets of aerial imagery and reports the differences in the structures from those 2 different sets. In this case, I'm looking to give the company 2014 aerial photography and 2018 aerial photography, and tell us what's changed in those 2 sets. It uses artificial intelligence to identify those differences with high accuracy ratings. It will tell us what those differences are, such as if a pool was added, or a garage, or a shed, deck, patio, flat work, things like that. The company Pushpin offered us a 1,000 parcel free trial, so why not take them up on that and see what we may be missing out there. And This is the areas where we had those areas compared. Hunter's Ridge area and a more rural area just west of that. And this is part of the report that we receive. And this is actually interactive. So those yellow dots in there and the red dot, that gives us an idea of how many changes it found in those areas. And so you could zoom in on that. Along with that, it gives us a summary of the changes. So how many additions and construction, new construction decks. Also tells us what has been demoed since then. When you zoom in on the map, it shows us what those changes are, and you can see that up in the, over here in the left, this thing of a, there's an old map and a new map feature, so you can turn on the aerials behind it, zoom in, and you click on the dot, it'll take you to the comparison aerials. Also provides us with a spreadsheet that identifies every parcel that was reviewed, if it's changed or not, and if it has changed, what was the nature of that change. Very helpful. It also allows us to sort and filter by the different changes so we can concentrate on more important things first, such as maybe new homes, additions, things like that. So here's an example of a property that was found in our free trial. On the left is our 2014, on the right is our 2018 aerials. This is the same property, and you can see a significant amount of changes have happened. Just right off the bat, you can see a pool and 2 additional outbuildings, and if you look closely, and the system identified it for us, that there is a addition to the back of the home as well. We were aware of the pool. A permit was taken out for the pool in 2014. We went out and got that picked up. After the pool and the pool house were constructed, everything else happened without a permit. So we were unaware of that. We would have become aware of it when we go back out there. Generally, it's 6 years between inspection cycles, unless it sells or it has a permit. So this is what it was able to identify for us. This is hopefully an extreme example, and we probably won't have all of these show up, but this is the picture of the addition to the back of the home, 1,200 square foot addition, I believe, the garage and the shed. So out of that 1,000 parcel free trial, the program identified 174 properties that detected a change. We were unaware of 47 of those. So we knew about the majority of them with permits and things like that and inspections. We were aware of the majority of them. But 47 out of 1,000 we were not aware of. That included additions to homes and outbuildings, 3 garages, 18 sheds, decks, and flat work, patios and parking lots and things like that. So if we were to just apply a conservative estimate and say $2,000 in additional tax per 1,000 properties that are reviewed, we would be looking at an estimated increase in tax revenue of $150,000. That's countywide county inspection. I think what we would hope to see is that we don't have any increase in tax because we caught the majority of it. But this is a good thing to, I think, check. Allows us some quality control work of make sure that we have everything that we're supposed to as well. The cost of this service is 15 cents per parcel. With 75,700 parcels, it's going to be less than $12,000. We've got approval from the Land Records Committee for spending Land Records Fund to pay for this, so it wouldn't cost the taxpayers necessarily anything, but potentially see some benefit from it. They'll provide a 4-week turnaround time, and it'll provide, I think, a fair distribution of the taxes for everyone else that has taken out permits to do the work that they're supposed to. So the Pushpin company that offered us this 1,000 parcel free trial, they've purported a 98% accuracy rating on these differences, and they use a manual QC process to double check their computer artificial intelligence programs. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Baumann on this? Commissioner Archer?
Do we have, in the appraiser's office, do we have the staffing and the capacity when we recognize these changes to do what we need to take action to make the changes?
Sort of. We have estimating about 3,500 changes that we're going to need to review from this process. Okay. So we're going to concentrate on the largest situations first, and then we'll move forward on with the smaller things like the decks and patios. We don't have the staffing to be able to go out and just take care of this all at once, but we will be getting to it.
Okay.
So we expect to have some of the larger changes that this detects done for the 2019 valuation cycle, at least a corrected notice for those, because we're going through the process of final review. We're starting to go through the process of final review now, so we won't have time to get out there before that process is complete.
But this is an inspection you would be doing every 6 years, so you would be doing, you're just doing the work ahead of time, or as it would be scheduled anyway.
Yes, that's correct. I mean, we would hope that we would notice these changes once we get out there and do our 6-year inspection. Some of the things that happen to the back of the property, if it's not a sale or a permit, we don't necessarily go back around every property for the view and inspect process, the reinspection process.
Any other questions?
Steve, this is a request to solicit bids, though, correct? That's all
It
we're
is a
doing
request
today.
to solicit bids.
Okay. I'll move approval.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Our next item.
Item H, Sheriff's Office. Number 1, acknowledge receipt of correspondence from Sheriff Jones regarding the purchase of new software module and first-year maintenance agreement, contract C415-2018, with Tyler Technologies New World for web briefing, BOLO, to also be used by the Topeka Police Department for internal criminal intelligence at a cost to be split 50-50 with TPD and the sheriff's portion being $6,945 with funding from the 2018 budget.
Good morning, Commissioners. Major Jason Mecca, Sheriff's Office. Basically what this software is a notification system which allows our officers in the field the capability to enter data into our computer system in regards to stolen vehicles, missing persons, runaways, stolen property. The BOLO is the acronym for Beyond the Lookout. And this technology allows us to have real-time data available to everybody in the field, as opposed to the officer goes and takes a report and then sends the information back to dispatch, and when they get time, they enter that information. Or the old way we do business is we write everything down that we've done, all our activities, and then it's presented to the next shift following. This will eliminate that lag time.
Any questions for Major? Oh, move to acknowledge.
Second.
Motion to acknowledge by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item H2, acknowledge receipt of correspondence from Sheriff Jones regarding the purchase of a storm shelter for the Barta Trading Complex from Protection Shelters LLC at a cost of $39,500 with funding from the Special Project Fund.
Commissioners, our service support team at the Sheriff's Office does research and development. One of the things that has been identified over the years is a need for a shelter for individuals doing training out at our Barta Training Complex. This storm shelter is a 10-foot by 24-foot enclosure that can withstand F5 tornadoes and up to 250-mile-per-hour winds. This would be utilized by anybody, outside agencies, ourselves, in the event of imminent weather. In the past, we've had to either postpone, that's how we mitigated the risk before, is either postponing training, rescheduling, or canceling for that day. So this will eliminate the need to do that and just have an on-site for safety and security purposes.
Any questions?
No.
I'll move to acknowledge receipt of the correspondence from the sheriff.
Second.
Motion to acknowledge receipt by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Next item.
Item H3, acknowledge receipt of correspondence from Sheriff Jones regarding the purchase of 10 ProGuard transport seats plus shipping from 911 custom upfitters for a total of $11,820 with funding from the 2018 budget.
Commissioners, on November 19th, there was acknowledgement to purchase 10 new Durangos. This will be a fleet refresh for next year. Traditionally, our officers that do prisoner transports are those officers who work in field operations. So our patrol officers, warrant officers, officers even here that work at the courthouse. What these are protected seats that replace the back seats. So when we get a new vehicle in, we remove the stock seating, we store that, and we put that back in when we go to sell the vehicle or repurpose the vehicle either within our agency or to other agencies within Shawnee County. These seats are hard plastic. We've been using these for over 20 years, and what they do is they provide an added level of security for our officers. There are no ways to hide contraband if it is missed. It also protects the interior of the vehicle, should any fluids, body fluids, etc., easy to clean, and that's what we ask to upfit those vehicles with those seats.
Any questions?
I'll move to acknowledge receipt.
Motion to acknowledge receipt by Commissioner Bueller.
And seconded.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Our next item.
Item I, Administrative Services, number 1, consider approval of request to transfer contingency funds in the amount of $508,000 to the Capital Outlay Fund for 2019 approved capital outlay expenditures.
Good morning, Betty Griner, Director of Administrative Services. This is a follow-up to the discussion that we had on Monday when we talked about the capital outlay and the direction that the board had given me to seek approval to transfer unused contingency funds to the capital outlay amount. The amount of that unused balance is $508,000. That is after the 2 items that you approved today. So I ask for your approval to make this transfer.
Motion
So
made
moved.
by Commissioner Bueller.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item I2, update on revenues and expenditures for November 30th, 2018.
Okay, as the clerk read, this is our snapshot view as of November 30th. I will begin with revenues. Through November 30th, we had received revenues of $101,973,834. That is compared to the budgeted amount for the same time period of $101,470,373. So that is a positive variance of $503,000. You can see by this chart the different categories and how much was received in each category. I will go into each category in detail. first category is property tax revenue. This has not changed since last month because we did not have a tax distribution in the month of November, but we had received $76,583,013. That is slightly under what was budgeted for this amount, and like I say, that was a discussion we had last month. The next category is other tax revenue. We, through November 30th, received $15,055,048. That is $415,000, almost $416,000 over budget, and that is primarily from motor vehicle taxes and from the city-county highway taxes that both came in a little higher than had been projected. Property-related fees, we've received $1,575,146. That is $127,000 over what was budgeted, and that is from filing fees for the Register of Deeds office. Next is charges for services. We've received $4,054,939. That is $416,000 under what had been budgeted, and that is mostly in the area of Parks and Recreation. The other revenue category, we had received $4,705,688. That is $1,008,000 over what had been budgeted, and that is in investment income and also in penalty and interest on taxes. So this pie chart shows us that the percentage of the revenue, 75% of the revenue was received from property taxes, 15% from other taxes. I'm sorry, I'm trying to look at let's see, I believe that's 1% from property-related fees, charges for services of 4%, and other revenue of 5%. And that total that I gave you of the $503,000 over budget, that is 0.48%, so about half of 1%. So that is a good indication that we will be within budget for the year with just 1 month left. Okay, now we go on to the expenditure side. Through November 30th, our expenditures totaled $94,557,895. That was compared to a budgeted amount for the same time period of $95,558,257. So that is $1 million under what we had budgeted for those expenditures. And I'll go into the different categories. This shows the different categories and how much was spent in each category. That total variance, budget variance, is 0.95%, so just under 1% of the amount. First category is law enforcement. We've spent $43,750,549. That is $226,000 under budget, and that is primarily from the Sheriff's Department. But I will also point out that if you look at this compared to 2017, even though we're under budget, we have spent $3,434,000 more than we had spent last year. The next area is public health. We spent $8,490,703, and that is right on budget. Next is administrative services. We spent $11,061,065. That is $738,000 under budget. Most of that is contributable to contingency and to IT, and those two items I'll talk about a little bit later. The next area is public works. That we had spent $8,782,921. That is right on budget, and I will mention that that is without sales tax and federal and state programs. That is just for our county tax dollars. The next is Parks, Recreation, and Expo Center. We had spent $13,768,758, and that is right on budget. And the last category is debt service. We spent $8,703,901, and that is also right on budget. So this chart shows the different categories, and as you can see, it really does a good job, I think, of showing how much more we spend on law enforcement than any other category. This pie chart kind of shows the same thing. 46% of all of our expenditures were spent on law enforcement. Public health is 9%, administrative services 12%, Public Works 9%, Parks, Recreation, and Expo Center 15%, and debt service 9%. I will point out that even though our revenue was almost $102 million and our expenditures were around $95 million, we still have a month of expenditures to go where most of the revenue has been received. And again, I will also mention that even though we are a little over budget on expenses and under budget on expenditures, we do know that there are some things coming. You know, you just approved the transfer of the $500,000 from contingency. We know that IT has some big expenditures that are coming up for their hyper-converged infrastructure platform. So this $1 million variance on the expenditures will not remain at the end of the year. We know that. But what this does show us is that we will be within our budget for the year of 2018. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Questions for Betty?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item.
Item J, Commission Number 1, acknowledge receipt of resignation as Planning Director from Barry Beagle as of December 28th, 2018.
Commissioners, we have received a memorandum dated December 10th for a resignation for our Planning Director, and I wish Mr. Beagle the best in his future endeavors and would move to accept that resignation.
Second.
If I could,
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I want to thank Barry for his professionalism, always, his dedication to Shawnee County, and I've enjoyed working with Barry, and he has done an exemplary job in working with our Planning Commission, and it's a tough job, so I wish him all the best, and there is a going-away reception for Barry, if you haven't seen this in your emails, Friday, December 21st from 1 to 3 in the Appraisers Conference Room at the North Annex. So I wish you all the best, Barry.
Excellent. And again, motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor say aye. All opposed? It is approved 3-0. Our next item.
Item 5, Administrative Communications.
This is an opportunity for any member of the public or department head to address the commission on any item.
Good morning, Commissioners. Randy Luby again with Parks and Recreation. Did want to announce tonight at Winter Wonderland, Shawnee County Parks and Recreation is the host tonight. We got our volunteers ready to roll starting at 5:30, so we welcome anybody who would like to come out to help, are sure welcome. Again, all the fundraising goes to TARC. It's a great event, and Parks and Recreation are proud to be part of it. Thank you.
Randy, I'm sure the Major would prefer they come on law enforcement night.
I was about to come up there.
I'm always ahead of you.
I got to get a jab. Commissioners, Jason Mecca, Shawnee County Sheriff's Office. I would second what Mr. Luby said about Winter Wonderland. What a awesome event for our community to be a part of, and our Shawnee County Sheriff's Office SWAT team will be hosting on Saturday evening. And so we challenge Parks and Rec to a sell-off. We'll see how that goes. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Linda Oaks from the Health Department. This past Monday, the Kansas Department of Health and Environment visited our immunization program for their every 2-year inspection, and I'm happy to say that they passed with flying colors. They had an outstanding review, so once again, we have met all of our obligations. And just want to share with you that the past 12 months, we have ordered over $500,000 in vaccine from the Vaccine for Children program. And the vaccine, again, is for children who are uninsured or have Medicaid. So they're busy over there, and they did a great job. They were also perfect on their eligibility determinations, which the clerical group makes sure that the right children are getting the right vaccine. So I just want to congratulate them. Carrie Dels is their division manager.
Great. Congratulations, Carrie. Good job. Any other administrative communications this morning? Commissioner Archer?
Nope, don't have a thing.
Commissioner Bueller?
No, thank you.
We had a JADO meeting last night. It was always fun-filled and action-packed to, 10 o'clock, and so I'm glad to, my term as the chair has come to an end. So pass it off to the city for 2019.
There you go.
Madam Clerk, our next item.
Item 6, executive session.
There's not a need for an executive session. We are adjourned.
You have some signing to do.
I do.
I do.